there is a people group who have faced oppression, discrimination, and violence on every continent throughout every generation, this group is women. This is especially true for the women of Afghanistan who are right now fighting for not just their rights, but their lives. This was not always the case. In 2001, after the U.S. became involved in the war with Al-Qaeda, women for the first time saw their rights being advanced and protected. They ran for public office, pursued higher education, becoming doctors and lawyers. But they have seen it all stripped away, again, when the Taliban gained control in August 2021 after the sudden withdrawal of U.S. troops and the dropped support from allied countries that followed. Now, they can't pursue higher education, made official in December 2022. How many countries in the world bar girls and women from receiving an education? The answer is none. They are restricted to their homes because they cannot leave their house without a male guardian. They cannot be involved in government leadership. They cannot speak freely and protest against their government, and if they do, they can be jailed and beaten for not adhering to the strongly enforced Islamic law, or Sharia. Many stories have come to light that have shown the brutality of the Taliban's inhumane treatment and should be shared, not for their shock, but to highlight the bravery of the ones who have come face to face with the fight for freedom. Shortly after the Taliban took control in 2021, Tamana Parayani, 25-year-old human rights activist, was arrested in the middle of the night along with her 3 sisters. While imprisoned, they were brutally tortured and abused, up until her social media video, capturing her arrest and imprisonment, garnered the attention of aid and human rights groups. And what was her crime? She, along with others, protested the Taliban's abuse and draconian restrictions on the women of Afghanistan. She continues to take a stand to this day. But women in Afghanistan do not wish to be completely defined by their struggle, but want to show how we can all rise above untold challenges and go as far as we can. Rangina Hamidi, former first woman minister of education in Afghanistan, is a perfect example of this resilience.
Now, I've personally dedicated my career life, my adult career life from 2003 onwards until August 15, 2021, to Afghanistan, to Afghanistan's women and children. As a daughter of Afghanistan, I did what I could in my capacity.
And not all people living in Afghanistan are doing so out of fear, as the public often is led to believe. Many stay because they love their country and the life they've built, even in the face of danger. Real change does not always occur with big demonstrations of resistance.
The slow, quiet, persistent, wise women who are continuing to fight daily to make the future, to make tomorrow better for their daughters, even if it's quietly. Those are the efforts that I am emphasizing on, and those are the efforts that I am personally supporting and committing to.
But real change is with the ones who stay and consistently work towards creating a better life for their families.
I know that those persistent actions and continuous wise actions will change the future, not these sporadic, high volume, high attention seeking stories They've never historically ever been the actual sustained change makers in the past, and they won't be in the future either.
And there's another group, often overlooked because of the extreme restrictions on the women, but they too can suffer sometimes even more than the women.
While I like and support the focus and the attention we have given as a world to women's issues in Afghanistan, I also want to remind us that the men don't have it any easy either. Let's be fair. Let's be kind to the struggles that men in Afghanistan face on a daily basis as well, sometimes probably even more than women, because women right now can just cover themselves in a burqa or cover themselves behind the wall in a house. The man, most of the time, doesn't have that choice because he is out in the public and he cannot cover himself from the reality of what he has to face every day.
One of these men who have bravely spoken out against the treatment of Afghan women is Professor Ismail Mashal, who ran a private university in Kabul. He has publicly vocalized his disdain for the restrictions on education for girls and women.
ولی متاسفانه بگوییم تا امروزه یکی از مقامات رهبری طالبان به سطح رهبری طالب بلند نشدن که یک دلیل شرعی منطقی برای 20 میلیون دختر افغان بگوین که روی اینی دلایل مکتب یا پنتون برایتان بسته هست.
He has daughters himself and he wants to see their full rights restored. He has closed his school permanently until the law allows women to attend again. Would the women of Afghanistan have been thrown back into the past, resetting the equal rights of women, if the U.S. had not abruptly pulled out all troops and NATO not have backed out? Many Afghan people stood behind the cause of freedom alongside NATO, who pledged their commitment to fight for Afghan women's rights. Because they risked their lives, they question why they have forgotten the cause in which they championed for many years.
I'd invested 20 years of my life. My father had sacrificed his head in this cause that we truly believed in trying to fix Afghanistan, trying to serve Afghanistan, trying to create a different future. The shock of the international community quietly sitting as a country fell back into the hands of Taliban, I think that shock kept me there and I didn't want to give up. I waited for a week to see what the situation would become, and then just witnessing the chaotic evacuation and the attack on the evacuees and just the level of desperation that I witnessed of my own countrymen and women, it shattered me. It broke me. And I said, how can we as a global community in the 21st century allow such a thing to happen? And yet it happened.
There's some hope on the horizon despite Taliban rule. Not all Taliban members and sympathizers agree with the strict laws in place and are now reconsidering lifting some restrictions. Although faced with these challenges, Rangina leaves us with a reminder, quote, "I believe in the power of my people and my country. They'll find a way out whether the world stands with them or not." The question is, will people seek to understand? And will the international community once again come alongside them or continue to sit this one out? This is Gina Vigil bringing you the Satluj News Spotlight.